Today we're going to can a soup which to me has the heart of New Orleans flavoring in it. It's just so good. It's a meaty soup, and believe me, it will tingle your taste buds. And for a fast meal, we just take a jar off the shelf, open it up, heat it, maybe add some shrimp, and pour it over a bed of rice. How simple is that, and how great does it taste? And I'll show you at the end of the video exactly how we make it. So, are you ready to turn up the heat? If so, let's get started. This was a soup recipe that I took and modified from the safecanning.com website, and I'll have the link to that down below. But I do want to mention one ingredient isn't completely safe according to the National Center for Food Preservation, and that is the Andouille, I think I'm saying that right, sausage. Because it's a cured sausage, you are not supposed to can it. So in mine, I have 7-quart jars. There is less than 1/3 of a link of that sausage in each jar, and I have diced it up in small pieces. But believe me, you can completely omit this, make it completely safe by the canning rules, and it will not change the taste that much. So it's up to you. Like I said, I love a spicy broth, and this soup delivers. And I love how it's such a quick meal on a busy night. In this recipe, of course, you have to pressure can it, and it is going to make 7+ quarts, or 14 pints. For the meat in the recipe, I stopped by Sam's Club. I picked up one of their rotisserie chickens. I mean, for under $5, it is a great value. I think Xander would like this. But anyway, I'm going to take the top off, and I'm going to take the meat off the bones. Took all the meat off the carcass, and then I put that carcass and another carcass from Sunday's dinner, because we had a roasted whole chicken, into a big pot so I could make some homemade broth. So now we're going to make some grape broth on our stovetop. We need to prepare these for the soup, and I have 4 just beautiful sweet peppers, and you could use all green if you want. I just thought this was so much prettier. We got 2 orange ones, a yellow one, a red one, and then a huge sweet onion. So we gotta dice these all up. So I'm using my handy dandy Mueller slicer dicer. Really does a nice job. This way everything gets kind of uniform. You just do like this, and there you go. We got a little outstanding there. Kind of fun. You can take out any aggressions you have for the day. There we go. And I'm going to do this to both the peppers and the onions. I just love this. Here they are. Doesn't it look pretty? Onto the onions. Here's what we need to make our Ragin Cajun soup. You've got your peppers and your onions all cut up here. We have the chicken I shredded here. And this is 2 of Cajun sausages, Andouille, or however you say it. Anyway, cut up. And then this is the chicken broth. It's 4 quarts worth. Half of it is from what I made from the chicken carcasses, and the other is 2 packages of this. So we end up with 4 quarts of broth. And then we want our diced tomatoes, and this is a 28-ounce can, and then I'm making it extra spicy. I'm giving us diced tomatoes and green chilies, and diced tomatoes with habaneros. But you can just use regular diced tomatoes. And then we have 1 16-ounce can of tomato sauce. And we're going to want some, I'm using bacon grease, but you can use olive oil or whatever you want. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons, but I might use more. And then the special part, the spices. This soup can be as spicy as you want it. I'll have a table later that will show you if you just want it mild, medium, or hot. It's entirely up to you and what your family loves. We have 2 tablespoons Cajun spicing. And for that, I'm using Tony Ketchcorries, however you say it, Creole seasoning. 2 tablespoons black pepper, 2 tablespoons garlic powder, 2 tablespoons dried thyme, 4 tablespoons smoked paprika, and 4 tablespoons chili powder. Now let's get cooking. So I've put 2 tablespoons of bacon grease in here. I'll let that melt up a bit. And we're just going to get probably the onions a little translucent. I mean, believe me, pressure cooking is going to cook this plenty. I want to cook up our sausage just a little here. Be back when that's ready. So I'm putting it on a toweling to drain it, and we'll let it cool off just a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good. I think our veggies here are softened, so we're gonna put them in the broth. Now the next part is so easy. Just dump everything into the chicken broth in a big stock pot and mix it together. So we got the soup up to boiling, and now I'm turning it down. I'm gonna let it simmer for at least a half hour. You do want to do a taste test. Before you can it, because you can always add more broth if you got it too hot. Now this is nice and spicy for me. Might be too hot for you, so cut down on those spices. But I always serve this over rice, so that kind of cuts down the spiciness too, but this is good. I fill my jars about 1/3 of the way with more of the solids. I still get some meat when I'm doing it, but that way you don't get too much meat in one jar, not enough in another. Makes things more equal. So this is going to make 7 quarts, and I'll have a little left over. We'll see here. Okay, just top off. And now we just want to make sure we don't have any air bubbles in. Unlikely, but always be safe. Wipe this off really well. You really want to make sure you get a clean rim, because otherwise you won't get a good seal, and that is disappointing. It's rare things don't seal. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Now I'm really jinxing it for this one, ain't I? But it can happen. And sometimes I swear you do everything right and it still can happen. So that just means you know what you're going to have for supper the next night. Now we're just going to finger tight our lids. I said lids, finger tight our rings. Very hot jars. And then we're going to be ready for the canner. Oops, I can't count. I only had 6 jars out here. I need 7. So we had about a pint and almost a pint and a half left. Putting this in the refrigerator, and I'm going to put this over rice and shrimp tomorrow, and it will be delicious. Now we've prepared our pressure canner. You've added the water according to your manufacturer's directions. And in my case, I don't live on city water, so I also add some vinegar so I don't end up with really cloudy jars. Put our jars in our canner. Nice 7 quarts here. Already made sure the rim was lubed and that I can see through my vent hole. So now it's time to put on the lid. So we're gonna wait until we get a nice steam out here. Okay, we've had continuous steam for 10 minutes. I'm now gonna put on the weight. And we're gonna wait until we hear a nice jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. So I use the 10-pound weight for where I live, but your elevation may be different. So follow this chart. So you can hear it doing its little jig. I'm now setting the timer for 90 minutes, 4 quarts. Aren't they beautiful? Take off our rings and label each one. Ragin, Cajun. There we go. Now they're time to put on the pantry shelf. So we are going to have Ragin Cajun soup tonight. So come along with me as I show you how quick and easy it is to dish it up. Let's pop open the top. Hear that? Yeah. Doesn't that look good? Pour it in. And now I just want to add some shrimp. And while your soup's warming up, make sure you got rice. Look at that nice broth. Doesn't that look good? Here we go. Doesn't that look good? First, let's have a little of the broth. Got a little bit of heat to it. So let's have our shrimp and our rice. That's hot. So good. You know, it has a little heat, but it's really not overpowering. I mean, this is just so good. So, I hope you think about canning some Ragin Cajun soup for your pantry shelves. And as always, happy canning. And here's another soup recipe you might like.